Have you ever wondered what would happen if you actually kept your word to yourself? Meaning that when you decided to make a change, you actually followed through. We know that that's the hardest part for so many people. There's this desire to change, but the movement forward always gets us stuck. But what's on the other side? Well, it's greater health. It's greater sense of purpose, a greater mission. It's advancement in your career. And it's a greater quality of life in so many different areas that you might not even realize right now. And so if you're feeling that way, that you want to push to their side, this podcast is going to be incredible for you. We are interviewing Wendy Carnes. Now, Wendy is one of my first actual clients I ever worked with 7 years ago. And in the course of our first journey together, she lost around 50 pounds in 6 months. It was absolutely incredible. And today, she's been working on her own for about 5 years. She's been on her path. She's been doing so many different things. And she's officially down 100 pounds. She's changed so many different areas of her life. And today she's here to share some of her lessons so that you can take some motivation, take some insights, and continue to make progress in your journey too. So with that being said, Wendy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
So excited for this. I can't wait to hear more.
So there's so many things we're going to cover, and we're going to go back to the beginning. But one of the things I wanted to ask first is, what does it mean to you when you think of the phrase, because I said I would?
So when I first signed up with you, Brian, I saw this wonderful TED Talks. I was really into TED Talks at the time, and there's this fellow that had this whole thing that he did because I said I would, and it resonated with me. And I'm like, I'm saying I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And it wasn't something like, oh, I can kind of do this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make a promise. I made a promise to myself. I made a promise to you. I was going to do it, and I did it. And what an incredible thing to be able to circle back 7 years and say, I'm still doing it, and I didn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
There might have been some pauses, but I didn't stop.
Amen.
Yes.
Love that.
And what about that card?
So do I know where that card is?
I have it. I have it.
I don't.
I have it.
Did I don't even know if I kept a copy of it. You have it. Yeah. Isn't that funny? Yeah. After all these years, you still have, where'd you keep the card?
So I have a box of like keepsakes. So it's in my box of keepsakes. But tell people what was the card?
Hey, I don't even know what this is about. So cue us into the story.
Oh my gosh. So I mean, it's a promise because it says because I said I would. So you write on there what you were going to do, what you were going to accomplish. What I wrote all those years ago, I don't know, but I know what I needed to do. I know that I wanted more confidence. I know I wanted to lose weight. I know I wanted to be healthy. And I know I signed up with Brian to achieve those things, and I needed help.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed help.
I think after working together for like 6 months, 4 months, something like that, it was somewhere in between there. You had written on the card something equivalent to the goals that you had set and who you wanted to be. And it said, because I said I would. And you handed to me, said, I've been saving this for a really special occasion because I didn't know what to do with it. And now I know what to do with it. I need to give it to you.
Yeah.
And so it was your commitment and your statement that said, I am committed to this change. I'm not half-assing it. And obviously the change has been remarkable ever since.
Was that in person at the coffee at Starbucks?
Yeah.
Wow. Never knew. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I think I wanted to start there because the decision you made wasn't just to lose weight or do a program or try to eat healthy. It was to really change. And I think that so many people get stuck in that spot. But I want to kick it to you and really talk about where you were at the beginning. Like, where were you at the beginning of your journey? Kind of what were you experiencing? What was happening? What led you to the point where you needed to make a change?
So my life got really turned upside down. So I had recently went through a divorce, and I had a really hard time with that and kind of challenged with my new life. I was now, basically on my own, and I was married for 20 years. So I was in a very sad place in my life. And a friend of mine kept talking about Brian and Brian and Brian and Brian. I think we probably know who that friend was, or is still. So she really encouraged me to, you know, take an active role in getting out of my funk, because I was in such a funk. I was, you know, just kind of going through the day-to-day life of trying to now be, I was now a single mom. I had a demanding job. I had a lot on my plate. And now, and I also was a caregiver for my mother. So I just had many things happening, and I really did not prioritize myself, my health, my well-being. And it was just a really bad place. I thought I had more of a support around me than I did. And I realized I was the support that I needed. I was the person that had to make that change. And it wasn't anything that anybody could do for me. It was what I needed to do for myself.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people will be able to relate to those types of plates all spinning at once, and let alone the transition that has to be made. What actually brought you to the point where you were ready to get out of your funk?
So one of the things I had done was I had followed you on social media, and I just needed that. I needed some sort of inspiration or encouragement or something to get me out of my funk. And I really leaned into better. And a friend said, maybe this is something that you should do to focus on rather than focusing on all these other things in your life. And at that point, I believe I weighed in, and I had lost some weight on my own. I think I was 241 when I signed up with you, Brian. And I just felt I needed a change. Like I felt like I always wanted to be somebody that was an active person, but I did not know where to start. And I knew that would be good for me to be active, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. And I needed to get out of my own head and my own funk. And you helped me get there.
Yeah. What were some of the changes that you made at first? So you made this decision. You said, okay,
Decision came first.
I need to get healthy. I need to make a change. What were some of the first changes that you remember making, or what were the most helpful changes as you started?
I just really being active was like the biggest thing. And my nutrition was horrible, just horrible. I didn't understand how to eat. I didn't understand what it meant to fuel my body and how it made you feel. Those are the biggest things. And once I started to feel those changes, I started to feel really good. Like I can actually really do this. And one of the things that I did, especially in the beginning, I became obsessed with it. I just had to become obsessed with it and prioritizing that in my life. And I probably was that annoying friend. Do you want to hear about my workout? Let's talk about my workout.
That's awesome.
I was. I'm like, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym. And I became that person that I always wanted to be. I mean, I'm probably worse now than I was then.
Oh, even better.
Better now than then. I'm curious. I think a lot of people shy away from becoming obsessed with it. Like they're almost afraid of becoming obsessed with it. Maybe because they're afraid they'll lose their mind over it, or they'll lose friends or family, fail. Or they'll fail even if they do work hard. Yeah. So what feedback would you give from the other side of like the importance of being able to just dial in your focus, absolutely prioritize it, and as you said, kind of obsess over it at first?
Yeah.
What would you say?
And I think that one of the things that happened then is I made myself a priority, and I realized that the people that I had surrounded with myself around that time, they drank a lot. They're heavy drinkers. So I'm like, I can't be around this anymore. And not that I didn't care about them, but I knew that that wasn't the life I wanted to have anymore. And I chose to be on the healthier side, and that's okay. I did lose some friends over it. Not probably that part of it, or like trying to exercise or do those things, but those are people that didn't have the same goals or thoughts that I did, and that's okay. That was their path. My path was a little different than theirs. So,
Mm.
um, and it's okay to choose yourself. That's how you can choose yourself every time. And I will.
Amen.
Yeah.
Beautifully put.
Yeah, because I do remember that time in that season where it was like this veering off. I remember coaching. So one of the things you're talking about is how do I handle
Yes.
social situations, or how do I handle kind of like this criticism or judgment? Because you liked it, like you liked what you were doing,
Mm.
Right.
and you liked the results, and you were pushing yourself. And it wasn't like we were doing anything extreme. I think it was like 3 days a week of working out, or
Right.
4 days a week of working out, and just being mindful of how much you were eating. But that started to create a veer. How did you stay the path? Like, how did you actually stay on that path where you're like, hey, this is worth me staying healthy. This is worth what I want, instead of caving to maybe the social pressure or going to that other side.
And in some of those, I've removed myself from those situations. When it happened, I just didn't, you know, I didn't back down, and I made myself the priority in that situation. And there were times that I was in those situations where like, here, just have some of this. I'm like, but I don't want that. I want I'm choosing to do something else, and not choosing to have a sugary drink or wine or anything like that. Or I don't really want those things anymore, because I know how they feel. I know how they made me feel at 250 pounds. I didn't feel good. I couldn't move as fast as I do now. And I don't want that. I don't want that in my life anymore. And it was
Yeah.
okay that, those people aren't in my life anymore. And that's okay, because I have really good people in my life that are very supportive of me and do things with me and go on hikes and, exercise with me and eat well.
Hey, what a
I'm
gift.
very lucky, very lucky.
Amen.
Yeah. I'm really curious, Wendy, is what part of you had such conviction? Like if you're really looking back,
Mm.
that conviction that this is the most important thing, it's what I have to do. Anybody could say those words, but like that there's some part of you that stepped forward, especially in times of conflict or maybe like contention. But I'm curious, where does that come from, or what part of you is that? How would you describe it?
So, it is probably more of a family history than anything. My dad died very young. He died at 48 years old of a heart attack. Both my
Wow.
parents were diabetic. I've had lots of aunts and uncles die of heart attacks, and I'm like, I just don't want to be that person. I don't want to be like that or go out like that. I don't want to have to deal with those kind of health issues that they dealt with in their adulthoods. And my mom died pretty young too, and I want to live, and I like living, and I like being able to do the things that I do, and I'm very grateful now. One of the things I think you always said, I'm grateful for my body and what my body's been able to do for me. Um, and it's incredible to be able to turn it around. And when you go to talk to your doctor and they're like, you're off blood pressure medication, you're off cholesterol medication, you don't have to do those things anymore, because you prioritized those things in your life because you want to be healthy and live a long life, and be able to do things that you didn't think you would be able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
So beautiful.
I'm gonna give some points too, because I have these memories now kind of flashing back. There was different wins that you experienced because you were healthier, and I think it's so important for people to understand that. And because I want to go to the point where you kind of hit your first like sticking point, because there was that point, I think, around like 50, 60, 70 pounds, whatever it was, where you
Yeah.
kind of plateaued for a bit. But before that, it was like, I remember you messaging me like, Brian, I had the strength to work on my house by myself. I remember that message. I remember there was a message you're like, oh my God, I took my daughter to Disneyland or Disney World, and we were able to walk around and look at this picture of what I look like now compared to that, like when I used to look like. I remember those pictures too.
Yeah.
So I wanted to highlight that, because it's like you made the decision and you kept moving forward. You saw progress because you were putting in the work, and then you gave yourself credit for small wins. Like I do remember the text message of like,
Yeah.
I worked on my house, and I didn't need anyone to come help me because I'm strong enough to do it. It's like,
Right.
were there any moments like that shine through, or like where you think of like where you started to see that, oh, this is actually working, or you gave yourself credit like that?
It's funny because and it happens even today. So, and it happened just like over the weekend. So
Yeah.
I really love hiking. Like hiking is probably one of my favorite things to do. And I've become a little obsessed with that right now. And because it's so nice still in the fall and the colors are beautiful, but I tried to really challenge myself to like more elevation gain. And I'm not perfect at it, but I feel like I can't stop. Like I want to keep going and keep going. And so I'm just going to keep challenging myself to do those things. And the other thing that I started to do was run.
Wow.
I started running and I love running. And I think when I started running, I could make it about a minute and I would be gasping for air. But then you learn how to run better and you like listen to runners and what do they do? They keep themselves up and they breathe right. And then you become like, oh my gosh, I can sustain this because I couldn't before. And those are the wins that I'm like, I'm just going to keep going. And I'm like, wow, I'm running for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I can run for 10 minutes. And those are just these amazing moments. So like, I can't believe my body's letting me do this. Where before I could hardly even, walk a half a mile without taking a rest.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible. So I know that some of those are little wins, some of those are big wins, but I'm telling you, I can't stop moving. Like I'm sitting here like antsy, like I want to go outside.
Yeah. Well, here's what I'd extract from that. It almost sounds like you've been pleasantly surprised by every little win in a way. Like, and so it's almost like you light up talking about it, and it's almost like we're back there experiencing it with you for the first time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's such a contrast from what people tend towards, like their negativity bias towards themselves says, gosh, I can only run for a minute. I suck. I'm not a runner. I shouldn't be a runner. And you're like, okay, a minute. All right. Oof. All right. Well, what's everybody else doing? And like you take an active role. You said this earlier, but I want to say it again. You take an active role in your health, in your transformation, in your journey. Like you sought out the next thing or the way to improve, and you focused on progress and gave progress credit. It didn't have to be in comparison to anybody else. It was just what's better than it was last week for you. That's at least what I hear.
Absolutely. How can I make this? How can I, perform things better? So I also still do a lot of strength training because I love that. I'm obsessed with Hannah Eden right now. If you don't know who she is, oh my gosh, she is like really an amazing. She does strength training, she does running, she does hiking, she does all kinds of different things. So I follow her also, and like she just had a baby, and just they called her Iron Mom because she did the Iron Man, and
oh wow,
I'm just totally obsessed with her right now. And I think watching her and following her, she made me perform better, and she's amazing. She's on iFit, so that's usually what I follow is right now is iFit.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
Well, it seems like
cool.
at every stage there's that next piece for you.
Yeah.
You keep seeking.
Always something more.
Yeah. I transitioned my office into a gym, so there's a gym in my house too.
Nice.
Amen.
There you go.
All in.
I love it.
Oh yeah, I've got so much equipment now. It's crazy, but we just keep adding to it. I put my desk in a roll-away desk in the corner, so taking up all this space.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Now, here's what I'd love to know. As you got that first, well, we'll say we hit a big milestone, like you lost the 50 pounds, you were consistent for 6 months. How did you see that ripple? Like, at what point did you start to see it wasn't just you getting better and having these wins and celebrating, but you started to either see it in relationships or you start to see it in career, that confidence started to shine in different ways. When did you first start to realize that ripple effect?
Ooh, well, so I did get remarried. So I can tell you that my now husband is incredibly supportive, incredibly wonderful about all of those things. and he's my hiking partner, he's my gym partner. You know, he's really getting into it right now with me, so I get to push him as well. So we've been married 5 years, so I can tell you that,
Okay.
at the beginning of that relationship, we probably ate out too much. So I gained some weight, but that's okay because I was right back at it. And we had our time, and like, okay, we gotta go back because I can't be like this. And so you slip, but that's all right. And I felt like okay with it because I went right back to it. And so I've been 3 years now, kind of back at it, probably stronger than ever before. And I can tell you that even like doing certain movements and certain things that I probably had done before and now I do them now, it's just, it's different now. I feel stronger. I'm 52 years old. I'm probably the best shape I've ever been in my life.
Outstanding.
Wow.
And I continue to just want to be better at what I'm doing. And career wise, I got a pretty recent promotion as well that kind of took me by surprise as well. And I think it's confidence. It's just I feel more confident in myself. I can carry myself well. I don't feel, for lack of a better word, embarrassed by the way I present myself. I feel stronger. And it just resonates like that for me. And I can show up a whole lot better than I had been before. I also, during the middle of this, got my master's degree. I don't know
Oh,
if
wow.
Wow, that's
Congratulations.
amazing.
I know, right? Again, I have the love and support of a really great partner who supports me, and that was a big part of it. Not that I necessarily needed it, but he encouraged me and helped me an awful lot to see that and see that
Yeah.
potential for myself.
Amen.
That's
What a
very
beautiful
cool.
gift.
Very lucky to have it in my
Yeah.
life.
Shane. Shane's his name. Go
Shane.
Shane.
Amen.
Go Shane. Yep.
Well, you see the whole circle change, right?
Yeah.
Everything coming together. One of the only things I wanted to highlight, because I do think it's important to kind of create space to talk about other people who are in that spot and maybe some advice for them. But what were the big challenges? Like when you really think of the big thing, like in that starting point, maybe the first 1, 2, 3 years, obviously getting married, you talked about the challenge there. You started kind of changing your habits to form maybe his habits or like the dating habits.
Yeah.
But what were the real challenges that kind of came up as you were in like the middle of it or when you hit your first plateau? Were there any moments where you're like, oh my God, this is kind of getting like tough? Or were there any things that did feel like, you had to either overcome a roadblock or maybe a change of your mindset you had to make?
Um, I think it was, I mean, one of the biggest lessons I think I really learned from you, Brian, too, was it's okay to have slip ups. It's okay to have a slip up for a week. It's okay to have a slip up for a little while, but just owe it to yourself to go back at it. And once you have that mindset of like, it's okay. It's really okay that you gain 20 pounds, but then know that you're worth it to go back at it. And I've always felt that way. I never felt like I had necessarily, my only roadblock was my own mind. It's, that's the roadblock, is feeling that you can do it. And I knew I could because I had already done it. I'd done it already. So I knew I could. I just needed to put myself at the top of the priority list. And I certainly do that now for myself, that it's, when I tell my family, I'm like, okay, I'm going to make you dinner, but I'm going to take some time to myself first before I take care of you. I've always felt that you have to take care of yourself before you take care of anybody else. You can't, pour from an empty cup. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing about not doing that is it's selfish too, because most people think like it's selfish for me to take care of myself before I take care of you. But the
Yeah.
alternative is actually selfish as well, because what you're doing is you're avoiding the discomfort of them not meeting their own needs, right? So if I have someone asking for, oh, I need this thing, that thing, that thing, and I say, oh, I'm just going to do that, it's because there's something inside of me that feels uncomfortable about putting myself first. So I'd
Right.
rather go with the thing that makes me feel more comfortable, which is meeting someone else's needs. So the more that you can just notice that it's really about what's the most important thing.
Right.
What's the most important
Right.
thing? It doesn't mean you neglect other people. It doesn't mean that you don't make decisions
Mm.
if you have like little kids. You got it's a totally different
Yeah.
equation.
Right.
But at the same time, it's not an excuse to totally neglect yourself because that ends up having a whole ripple effect that's toxic to everyone.
Exactly. Exactly. And I feel that to my core that that's the most important thing for me. And
Mhm.
it's okay. And thank gosh my family agrees. So
Right. That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yes.
What so are there any other lessons that you really feel like you are called to share with others who have a big weight loss goal and who are very much in that first 6 months to a year phase, who are still trying to make it who they are, but it's not quite who they are yet?
Yeah, I would say, give yourself some grace. Absolutely. Still love yourself, even if there are bumps in the road, if there are roadblocks, still love yourself, still put yourself as the priority. It's okay. And I remember going to Disney, and I remember talking to you, Brian, about it because it was soon, and have a plan. You're like, okay. And what you told me, I don't know if you remember what you told me to do, but I'm like, I'm really nervous about food and going there because I'm on such a good path. And you like, take pictures of the food and send it to me. Do you remember that? I
Yeah.
took pictures of my food and like, this is what I'm eating. And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
that's okay. And then I remembered there was another person that you put me in front of, and I think she had lost a significant amount of weight. I want to say it was 100 pounds, but she at the beginning of her journey really liked Skittles. Do you remember this? She
I
liked Skittles, and
uh,
she would log her Skittles. She's like, I'm just gonna log my Skittles. I'm gonna log my stuff, and I still log my food to this day because I want to know how much I'm eating and I want to understand my macros.
amen.
Nice.
I still do that, and just don't stop, don't give up.
Mm.
If you have slip up, it's okay. And it's okay to ask for help or get inspiration from whatever you need to get inspiration from.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't
Nice.
stop. Just
That's
don't
an
stop.
Yeah, just don't
excellent
stop.
one.
The
Yes.
Disney example, I think it was like pizza. Like there was a pizza, there was like maybe even like a chili dog. Like there was something that I was like, oh yeah. The goal was not that you were obsessed with your food. The goal was that you had, and this is a coaching technique that we use, is that you have someone else on their side letting you know that it's okay.
It's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay. And you're like, that looks delicious. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna, and it's okay to have those things sometimes. So you just can't live off of those things.
And you need to know what
Yeah.
season of life you're in, right? It's like that situation, and that's why it's so important that everyone has
Mm.
a guide or a mentor that I can actually meet them where they're at. Because for some clients, they might have a different way that they need to approach their health. That hey, you know what? Maybe we're not in the chili dog phase. Like maybe we want to be eating this way more often, right? And here's how we're
Right.
going to do it. But for a lot of people, they have this misconception about nutrition and food that makes them feel so guilty.
Yeah.
And when they screw up, then it's like, well, I might as well have two Dole Whips, right? I might as well keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And the goal at that stage is just say, hey, let's continue to focus on how can you make some better decisions? How can you not overdo it and realize that it's a stepping stone to that next point?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think at that point, my mindset and mind frame was, what I was before too. And I was pretty close to, that was just a few months afterwards that, and I knew how I ate then. And I would have, a piece of pizza and I'm like, I'm just going to eat pizza. I just want pizza. I want pizza. I want pizza all the time. And I was concerned at the time that I wouldn't be able to stop, but I was able to, but I actually was able to do that. And I still am able to do that. And
Mm.
now I don't, when I think about food, it's not it's not the same way. Not at all.
What's the difference?
And for me, it's really just seeing how well I fuel myself. I just did this fantastic workout and I'm going to put food in my body that actually is going to work to my advantage. And, you know, I want it to work for me rather than not work for me. I'm going to have something that's really good and healthy and lucky for me, I actually like a lot of food, so
I,
It helps.
I think most people would
helps.
if they had that mentality of let's just try things, right? But
Right.
most people can lose weight initially. I think we'd probably agree. We can see a lot of people who can lose the weight, but
Mhm.
keeping it off for not just a year but 7 years is incredible, right? That is a true transformation. It's true change.
Yeah.
There's not a going back after 7 years. It's not how it
No.
works. So I know you've shared a lot of the different differences between then and now and the way that you got yourself here and the conviction. But what are some of the core habits that kept you grounded to start that have actually come with you? Or maybe they've evolved, but what are some of those habits or routines, things that just have stuck with you that have really kept you going this whole time and helped you sustain your progress?
So one of the things I move my body when I feel like I need to move, because sometimes I that's now a habit for me to be able to just move, because I feel I've never felt that way before, that I can't sit around much anymore. That's hard for me to do. But sometimes it's hard to relax at the same time. The other thing that was a habit for me is, like I just said earlier, is logging my food,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that was the biggest thing for me. I probably weigh myself too many times, but that also keeps me incredibly accountable. And I think there was something that you and I had talked about a while ago, was I'm going to weigh myself at least twice a day just to know where I'm at. I'm that's probably an obsession that I have, but I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna, maybe have a piece of pizza. What's that gonna do for my weight? How am I gonna account for that? And it actually works well for me. So those are the habits.
Amen.
He does that too.
Do you?
I don't not twice a day, but that's okay. I think
You do before bed sometimes.
I'm always I'm a little curious.
He's just curious.
But yeah, I think that there's something to be said for, the more frequently you weigh yourself in the morning, the more frequently you will see yourself stay on track. There's
What
the
gets
research
measured gets managed.
Yes.
Especially if it doesn't send you into a tizzy. If it's
Yes.
just data, then
Right. Yeah.
there's
And
some
it was
harm in it.
cool is because I've been logging in my fitness pal for 7 years. And it is really cool to see your weight and how those those charts go. It's really cool to look at and go back and reflect, like, oh yeah, what was happening in July of 2018? Oh yeah, that's when I met Brian. That's when it started for me. And then I could see myself losing that weight, and then I gained some, and I could see myself losing it. And I've never been as heavy as I was when I first started. So that's the good news.
That's a blessing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
For
I'm
those who
able-
can't see you, you look healthy and vibrant and not 52. So you're
Oh,
doing something right.
I'm sometimes like, is it genetics? I don't know, but I definitely thank you. I appreciate that an awful lot. My
Absolutely.
not just side note, but my daughter's like, I don't know how old people are because you look so young. She's like, I don't understand people's ages anymore.
What a blessing, right? What a
Yeah.
blessing.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So, is there any last words of wisdom for anyone else who's listening that you think is just at the beginning of their journey that you would love to give them advice? Maybe if you're speaking to Wendy at the beginning of her journey, talked about keeping going, go all in for this. Is there any other pieces that you think would be really important to tell her?
So I think the important thing is, if you want it bad enough, you can achieve it. You can do it. Don't give up. Ask for help. The rewards on the other end are just incredible. And you can see yourself in a different way, in a different light, and the way other people see you, I think, is a gift. Because Wendy 7 years ago is not Wendy now, for sure. I've definitely grown and evolved. Soak up as much positivity as you can. There's a lot of negativity in the world, and I choose to not have that in my life anymore. And whatever's going to be in here, it has to be positive, and if you can add value to somebody also. So helping other people is another kind of passion as well. So I do hope that somebody at the beginning of their journey, the middle of their journey, the end of their journey takes something from this, because it's been absolutely incredible for me. I'm the happiest, healthiest, fittest I've ever been in my life. And I'm so very grateful for it. I'm grateful that I met you all, and I'm not stopping.
Amen.
I'm not stopping.
Yes. What a
Hey,
beautiful gift.
beautifully
Yes.
said.
Well, Wendy, it's such an honor and privilege to have you here sharing your wisdom and sharing your story. I was telling Lizzie, I was like, yeah, like Wendy was one of my first, once I started coaching online, it was like one of the first like 6 months, year, that time frame where I started really doing this. You're one of my first clients, and you've done such
Yeah.
an amazing job. It's been such an honor and privilege to see you
Oh,
grow. And I'm so
thank
happy
you.
for all the amazing things you have going on in your life,
Yeah,
because
so
you've
cool.
worked so hard for it in all categories. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for your time, and thank you for giving us
Oh,
this.
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you both so much. And I'm very grateful for you both.
Amen.
Absolutely. Thank you
Mm,
for sharing. It's been
yeah.
so good to hear what's behind the Wendy photos and story. Because
Yeah.
I was telling Brian before, I was like, I don't know anything about Wendy other than she's made a badass transformation and she is
Yeah.
gorgeous. That's all I know.
Oh, thank you. And it's funny, we've tracked our miles. Because Shane and I have been to Disney quite a few times. We're actually going to Disneyland on Friday.
Oh,
I mean, sorry,
nice.
Saturday. We're going to California for a work trip, but we're gonna like, Disney. But we'll do like 50 miles.
Wow.
Gotta have
We've
some good
tracked our
shoes.
miles. It was like in a week we'll go about 50 miles just walking. And thank God he'll come with me.
That's
Oh, that's
incredible.
awesome. That's
Very
awesome.
And
Well,
you know what else? I'm going to tell you something else. So this is a little, because one of the things that was my goal, I had shared this with Brian a long time ago. Like I want to be able to be picked up,
hmm,
and so my husband is very strong, and he can pick me up. And so yesterday, and you may see this because we are goal oriented, but there is a wife carrying contest.
oh
We
my
may
God.
do this. We may do this.
A wife carrying
Where
contest.
is this taking place? Because we might need to come compete with you.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. So hold on. Let me tell you. He just sent it to me yesterday. I want to say it's local. Um, and so we're gonna practice. We're gonna practice it. So North America, Sunday River.
Sunday River.
Okay.
Okay. If we
Okay.
So
want to go do a carrying
it's
contest, that sounds fantastic. And anyone here on YouTube, if you want to go carry your wife, feel free.
Yeah,
probably gonna
right.
be next year because I think it's this weekend and we're gone. But yeah.
Amazing. I
Outstanding.
love it. So many wins. Cool.
Well, for those of you who are here on YouTube, thank you so much for being here. We hope this is inspiring. We hope this is something that really gets you focused on your goal and allows you to make that progress you want to make. In this channel, you'll see a bunch of other success stories and lessons to fuel your progress. So click here so you can learn more, and also make sure to subscribe to the channel. But on that note, thank you for being here, and go out and conquer your day.
Cheers.
Cheers.